Hey everyone, okay, so today I'm going to be reviewing, I had a little test of this yesterday, Natasha Denona again, and this is the HY-GLAM Powder Foundation. Now, I haven't tried this shade yet, so we're going to see how it goes. Don't know. The shade I'm going to be using is NP7. Okay, so let's make a start. I've got just clean face on here. So there is a touch of sunscreen and nothing else. So I'm going to use the little sponge applicator that comes with it. And it's a really nice one as well. It's kind of like a silicone-y feel. And I'm just going to use the sponge for the entire thing so we can see kind of what effect you can get from a sponge. So I'm just going to move it into the product. And as you can see, it's on there. And we're going to smooth this over my face. Alrighty, so I did use this yesterday, so I am familiar with it. Now this is a powder foundation, and when it goes on, now clearly this isn't suited for those of you with dry skin, but as this goes on, it feels really silky and almost like you're spreading nothing on the skin. Now it states that with this sponge you'll get a full coverage application. And I'm applying it here now, as you can see. And I would say that this is a medium coverage foundation. Now I'm going to do the other side. And we'll spread it around. Now the colour is, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good match. It's slightly off, but it's a pretty good match. Now this really does not feel like a powder foundation. Now obviously with somebody with oily skin like myself, this feels quite nice going on because it doesn't feel heavy or thick or cakey. There we go, look at that. So that's with just using that sponge. And it definitely gave, do you know what? It gave a light to medium application. I would not call this with a sponge a full coverage foundation. I just wouldn't. I think that if you were to use a sponge with MAC Studio Fix, the powder one I think it is, that would give you a much fuller application. Now this feels so much better than MAC, the powder foundation I just mentioned. It feels so much nicer on the skin. This feels really silky and smooth. The application is absolutely flawless as it's going on. And what I did think that this would produce a really full coverage look, it just didn't. And I'm not mad about that whatsoever. It's definitely buildable, but even with it being buildable, you're not actually building up too many layers, if that makes sense. By adding more and more, you're not really getting that much more coverage, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to just cover this bit of my nose here, and it's pretty much just staying almost the way it was without those extra layers on. So one decent layer is going to give you a light medium to medium coverage. I'm going to add, because this is a matte foundation, I'm going to add a little bit of color to the cheek, something a bit more dewy so that we get more of a balance. So I'm just going to add a touch of cream stick foundation, blusher here, just to liven up the complexion because we've got quite a matte look. And this is obviously a cream, showing that creams and powders are just fine with this kind of application, but it just adds back a little bit of something when the skin is just so incredibly matte. And while I'm a fan of matte skin, it doesn't look very realistic in real life because normal skin isn't entirely matte. So there you go, you get a bit of a feel for it. Obviously it's a great foundation, there's no doubt. This is a great foundation. The main issue is the price point. I saw this today on Sephora and this was over £50, maybe like £54, £55, something like that. That is a very, very expensive foundation. That is a high-end foundation. Now you get 12.5 grams of product here, so you get quite a lot. But even so, it's a very high price point, and one that would make me go, because it's just high. This was sent, by the way, for me. I got it in part of the PR package from them. So thank you so much. So I didn't purchase this myself. It's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Just is. Now, whether or not you can justify that amount is entirely up to you. If this were in the 30 to 35 bracket, I would be so pleased with this, because it's a great foundation. Now, while this amount of coverage for me personally is just unacceptable, I wouldn't want to go out with this amount of coverage on. With a brush, this goes on so beautifully and incredibly light, to say the least, and is so flattering on somebody with very oily skin like myself, where you can just add that little bit of dewiness back that I've done here, and it just looks incredible. It's I highly recommend this foundation. Highly recommend it. It is amazing. Price point is quite high, and I'm a little bit tight on certain things, but it's so good. So good. A great foundation. There you go. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.